President Biden has signed into law something he and others are calling landmark gun legislation.
We did. While this bill doesn't do everything I want, it does include actions I've long called for that are going to save lives. It funds crisis intervention, including red flag laws. It keeps guns out of the hands of people who are a danger to themselves and to others. And it finally closes what is known as the boyfriend loophole. So if you assault your boyfriend or girlfriend, you can't buy a gun or own a gun.
It's called the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act, and I'll break it down for you right now. But first, a quick reminder, we have a gun giveaway going on right now, and you can enter for free, but it ends really soon. So click the link in the description down below to reveal which brand new gun you could win. Now, let's talk about this gun legislation. We'll start out by saying that fundamentally the USCCA opposes any policy that creates impediments to private firearms ownership. No amount of legislation targeting law-abiding American gun owners will ever prevent criminals from committing evil acts. However, the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act does make some significant and encouraging investments in school safety programs and our nation's mental health system. So in short, there are some good things in this bill, but some bad things too. Let's start out with mental health funding and school safety. This law provides hundreds of millions of dollars for mental health and school safety programs, including $120 million over 4 years for a community mental health block grant program to prepare and train communities and first responders on how to appropriately and safely respond to individuals with mental disorders. It also codifies an existing safety website for schools that acts as a resource for best practices, providing actionable recommendations to make their schools safer. And then it provides $300 million for improvements in school security. At the USCCA, we believe that compiling data and providing funding to our nation's schools about actionable safety measures they can take to protect our children is a critical step towards preventing violent tragedies. We believe that our mental health fitness is just as important as our physical fitness. By addressing the mental health crisis in this country, Congress is taking a step in the right direction towards addressing the root cause of gun violence. Just the guns. This is the root cause they're going after. The next portion of this bill includes juvenile records in the NICS background check system. For firearms purchasers under 21, this requires that their juvenile records be accessed in the course of an instant background check when they're purchasing a firearm. Our position on this is that our mission is to support law-abiding gun owners to protect themselves and their families. Individuals that commit violent crimes, regardless of their age, shouldn't possess a firearm, period. The law also clarifies the FFL definition of when an individual should get an FFL. It states that an individual who repeatedly buys and sells firearms to predominantly earn a profit must register as a federal firearms licensee, while maintaining protections for hobbyists and gun enthusiasts to privately sell their firearm. Our position at the USCCA is that private gun sales should be and will continue to be private. When an individual is making the majority of their income via firearm sales, that person should then get an FFL. This law also allows states to access funds to create crisis intervention court programs and initiatives including, but not limited to, mental health courts, drug courts, assisted outpatient treatment courts, and extreme risk protection orders if those states want to create extreme risk protection orders. Those are red flag laws. They would be required to meet strict and expansive due process, evidentiary, and standard of proof requirement. The USCCA position on this is that we are vehemently opposed to red flag laws wherein states try to enforce the law before it has been broken and strip an individual of constitutional rights without due process. Red flag laws trample all over the 4th, 5th, and 6th Amendment. We are opposed to them in any form. The law also includes language to strengthen the anti-straw purchaser language that's currently in the Form 4473. This establishes a new criminal offense for straw purchasers and firearms traffickers with increased penalties. The USCCA position on this is that criminals are not law-abiding firearms owners, and facilitating the purchase of a firearm for a criminal is and should continue to be against the law. Straw purchases are already illegal. The current Form 4473, Question 21, Item A, makes it very clear that it is already a federal felony to be a straw purchaser. A lot of people are touting this law because it closes the so-called boyfriend loophole. It prohibits individuals who are convicted of misdemeanor domestic abuse from possessing a firearm. This right to possess a firearm is then restored 5 years after the criminal sentence is complete if the individual has committed no further violent crimes. The USCCA position on this is that individuals who break the law are by definition not law-abiding firearms owners. The USCCA stands for protecting ourselves and our loved ones and others, and this includes preventing individuals who prey on those closest to them from obtaining a firearm. But there's something everyone must understand. There really was no boyfriend loophole. The current Form 4473, which everyone must fill out when they buy a gun from a federally licensed firearms dealer, questions 21, items H and I, and that contains language that already makes it illegal for domestic abusers to receive or possess a firearm. Want to know the 3 biggest mistakes when carrying a handgun? Then click on the video next to me to reveal all 3 mistakes. Mistake number 2 may shock you. Everybody has their own cardinal rules for what they're going to do when they're carrying a gun, but right now I'm going to give you 3 things that you must never do